As Stephen mentioned, I want to take a minute here to really dig deep, a bit deeper into the theme of empowering people. What I've realized, it's really about what you in the room are doing here today, and that are ones that are doing really the incredible things out there in America for the people in America. And I want to just recognize a few people that are doing some of these things, like you, Josh Arce from City of San Francisco, Economic Development. You've got one of the longest, best local workforce targeted hiring programs in the nation. I was at Texas DOT for the Washto event a couple of months back, and I sat in on a meeting where a local community group was bragging about how many formerly incarcerated workers they were bringing into the truck driver career opportunities, and how they were working with Texas DOT to do that. I get to work with Veronica Soto all the time and she's doing an incredible program for Hire LAX. And on and on and on, I have these experiences. So all these things just keep coming at me I've been in this unique position to hear all of your stories and all of the hiring and all the people that you're helping. And it has made a transition in what I want to do in my life. And I'd like to actually share some of those stories with you today on some of the things we videotaped last year. So could we play that video?
Construction industry is one of the most critical sectors in the United States economy. And to have an organization like LCPtracker utilize their platform to capture the data about what's happening to that workforce, how people are transitioning from poverty into family transforming careers, is really valuable.
Most of this employee tracking is designed to create opportunity where opportunities didn't exist in the past.
So what I want people to take away is, just as Mark talked about this morning, he talked about how he wants people to be successful, how he wants to take it to the new level, how he wants to break the bonds of poverty.
A lot of times we have legislators and other, political and key people in the various project areas that we're talking to, wanting to know how many people are hired locally, or how many minority contractors are you using on this project.
Capturing the information around demographics, how are women doing, how are returning vets doing, how are minorities and other disenfranchised communities participating in this part of the economy.
When you make it easier to do, and people have a sense of ownership, and people have a sense of accomplishment in providing these opportunities for people who previously were largely disadvantaged, it is going to make it easier for more people to take part in.
Well, I feel like this is a huge component, and to the degree that we can include that on every federal job and then ratchet it up a notch, and hopefully one day be able to attach it to other jobs in some way, and I don't know what that looks like yet, but maybe through more discussion and dialogue, we can go in that route and break those bonds of poverty and offer hope for people in the future.
These are the stories that are truly inspirational. And if you attended Ignite last year, I'm sure you remember that I challenged all of you to hire 500,000 careers in 5 years in economically poor zip codes. So we've been tracking it across the country, and in a grand version of this, all of you have hired 77,355 workers in economically poor zip codes this year. So that is amazing. So you have empowered workers, you're giving them careers all across America, and it's not on a small scale at all. And these are just our clients, right? But I think we need a bigger plan. And I believe we need a national movement that this industry, you, are perfectly positioned for. And I believe you have been placed here at this conference, at this moment, with me to do just that. And I'd like to introduce Project Astra.
I remember that day very clearly. It was raining. And it was the day I learned to be brave.
Once upon a time, a boy and a girl named Moses and Isabella lived alone in a dark castle.
Is it a dragon? Maybe they've come to see our castle.
I'm sorry, Moses. You have to come with me.
It's okay, Bella. I will protect you. We'll go.
The first time my bravery faltered was when I got the letter saying my home couldn't keep me anymore. I was almost 18, and those were the rules. I had no money and nowhere to go. Flipping burgers was my only option.
Moses,
Until I met Veronica.
how do you feel about training for a career to help out you and your sister? I run a construction workforce program, and I think you'd be a perfect fit. Here, come to my office in the morning.
Moses is just one of the underprivileged people local workforce programs have helped. Across America, there are programs that train thousands of Americans who need these careers most. But there's still millions of people that need to learn skills so they can get good jobs. That's why we established Project Astra, so we can use what we know works to provide people opportunities they never had. Young people learn how to be successful by growing up in a family that supports them, having a mentor, or teaching themselves, so that through education and opportunities, grit and discipline, they blossom. What if, for those of us who weren't born this fortunate, we recreated this encouraging environment for them? That's when we came up with a plan to do just that. I'm calling this all-encompassing program Project Astra, after the famous ancient Roman saying, "Per aspera ad astra," through adversity to the stars. Project Astra is a commitment by all Americans to redirect a percentage of what we already spend in construction every year to rebuild underprivileged communities. Our plan is to create an economic renaissance by rebuilding impoverished communities through construction training and careers, affordable housing, home ownership, and business and individual tax incentives to give people opportunities they never had. Join my cause, Project Astra.
That little short film is a true story that was told to me by a dear friend, Veronica Soto, that changed my whole view of what LCPtracker was and what we did. I was a businessman on a mission to solve compliance problems and automate your processes, to now a man on a mission to end poverty as we know it. What many of you do on a local level is helping formerly incarcerated, the single mothers, the foster care aging out, the military. It's working brilliantly. I see it every day. Project Astra is to expand this nationally, to use our industry to do what you do, to go national with it. Its purpose is to sponsor and implement laws requiring workforce hiring programs and economic incentives on infrastructure spending for our country's poorest communities. which, by the way, the federal government is, with the new tax law, now calls opportunity zones. They're all over the country. So you might be thinking, well, how are we going to do this? Well, I've been working on it, and my team's been working on it. And what we've done so far is we are creating a platform for you to use to help this movement. We've created a nonprofit organization to expand what we already know works, which is what you do. So the Project Astra platform is going to provide you a website to direct your local politicians to, or whoever you need to convince to start getting behind this type of environment. We've developed a 3-pillar plan of economic revival that's all on the website. We will begin to publish your local success stories. We're going to be publishing how you're successful, so you'll be able to use that as success stories across the nation. And we have an economic study that has been completed on the Project Astra 3 pillars by Professor Kevin Duncan, an economist out of Colorado State University, that will be published on that site to show the economic benefits of our 3-pillar plan. All this in support to give you a platform of support to institute these programs nationally. And I think one of the most important things I can ask you to do is go on the site and just register as a supporter. Your names are actually extremely important to this movement. Because if I have a list on this website of all the people that are the big players in this industry, and it's you, that are saying we support this, the politicians get behind that, and they'll support these kinds of changes. So we need your help in these ways. I'm also happy to announce Project Astra initiative has already gained traction in the legislative space. A small portion of Project Astra has been introduced in the 5th largest economy in the world, California. Assembly Bill 1241 by Sharon Quick-Silva. We're working on a 2-year bill to get as many of the Project Astra components into it as possible. So we're already making progress. So let me tell you how we're going to create the economic renaissance. Our mantra is simple, 15 for the 15. I propose we designate 15% of our federal, state, and local spending that we spend on infrastructure for the 15% of the population that still lives in poverty. 15 for the 15 until poverty is eradicated. I want to be clear, I'm not proposing we spend any more money or we increase spending. We don't have to do that. The plan's simple. Add a workforce program and economic incentives to that 15% we spend every year. And we dedicate that 15% towards those opportunity zones. Our nation spends, federal, state, and local, about in excess of $300 billion annually on public works construction. That, if we designate 15% of that, that's $50 billion per year towards this goal, towards the economic opportunity zones. Imagine how quickly we can reduce welfare and poverty if we do this for the next decade. $500 billion dedicated to this will have a huge return for our country by transitioning millions of Americans from welfare to work and creating an economic renaissance in these communities that we have previously left behind. We need to change what we're doing. 40 million people still live in poverty today in America, despite the $1.1 trillion we spent on welfare last year. 1.1 trillion. 126 different programs that I last counted. In 1965, when we first started the welfare program, since then, we've spent over $25 trillion, and poverty has basically remained virtually the same. It's unchanged. It is time we do something different. And I believe this industry is perfectly positioned to have this radical change occur we're in a perfect position to help create jobs and help rebuild communities at the same time, which brings in business, which totally transforms that community. This is what we do. And so if we all get behind this, it's going to happen. So I need your help to take this platform from a local level to transform it to a national program. So what I'd like to say, in send you out with, it's important to accept what believable people tell us. It's also important to know when hard, verifiable, empirical evidence is appropriate. The beauty of it is we have both now. All of you are extremely believable people. And now you have dashboard workforce data reporting to prove what many of you do is working brilliantly. I say it's time we end poverty. Let's be the trailblazers and pave the way. 15 for the 15.